the next continuous training, but I don't know. I think we will meet each other next Tuesday, and then we will stop for our big holiday, and then we will come again. First of all, I would like to thank everybody and welcome everybody to join our continuous training for volleyball African coaches, instructors. Welcome everybody, and we can start the first presentation with my brother, Joel Matthew. If you are ready, Joel, you can start, please.
Yes, I am ready. I'm just sharing my screen now, and then we are ready to go. Okay, I believe you are able to see my screen now. Can you confirm that you can see my screen? Hello?
Yes, brother, we can see you. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity. My presentation today will focus on Mark Rebodow's webinar that is getting the most out of practice. That is done by me, the CAVB instructor, Joel Matthew. First, just a run through what practice is. It's the activity of doing something again and again in order to become better at it. Now, I want we to be able to put an effective practice in place. We must be able to understand some elements of volleyball. I will focus on two elements, and the very first one is the nature of volleyball. I didn't put a lot of information in the presentation due to time limit. But first, we must understand what is the nature of the sport we are playing. And very, very important to me, the most important aspect of it is that volleyball is an ultimate team sport, you know, and volleyball is very much characteristic by a team, a nature of a team, because it's having a chain that is connected together that must be coordinated by the group of members. Otherwise, no players can play the ball on himself or herself, except regardless of the service only. And what is very important when you do your practice is to put in consideration that volleyball is a rebound sport. And this is simply there is no position of the ball by the player with the exception of the service. That's what I already repeat. And volleyball presents no limit, time limit. Coaches must train their teams to actively win the game as opposed to waiting of the opponent to lose the game. Because in volleyball, you have to fight for your points, because even a very big margin of leading can lead to a lose, and this very much evidence in volleyball in several matches in volleyball. Then the other elements that I wanted to focus in is the chain of action, which is the skill teaching players to read. What is very important for you to understand, you must understand what are those chains that is connecting together to make a rally, to make a volleyball game. What is very important, I put pictures also to demonstrate service as the very first skills that we use to initiate the game or the rally to be initiated. And then we have service receptions. Then we have the setting, which is the initiation to attack. We have then the attack coverage. Then after attack coverage, the serving team must immediately transit to defense. And the opponent teams will prepare for block, defense, then transition to attack if they recover the ball. And if they don't recover the ball, they must again prepare for block. That is what is very important to connect the chain of volleyball in terms of preparing your training and make the best out of practice. Now, after you have done that, we cannot talk moving forward without planning. And why we want to plan is because we know sometimes we have great success, but this does not guarantee us nothing, no matter what, because this is the very strange nature of volleyball. Even the best team in the world, if they do not understand the nature of the sport, they can lose the game very easy. And why we want to plan is specifically you must focus objective on a given spin. We choose appropriate means for practice, and then we must coordinate integrated actions that can integrate our preparation of practice, and then determine what and when and who to evaluate for us to be able to plan the next course of actions in terms of our preparations. And what is very key to me, very important, that I don't want to go without speaking, is this specific table. First, I want we to look what is the planning deciding. It's deciding what to do, when to do, and how to do, the frequency, and who is responsible. But we cannot go around that without understanding what is the relationship in the various periodic of practice, and specifically between the general and specific practice in volleyball. This is just a table that I have put up to demonstrate as an example to divide your time and your practice into between the general and the special practice. And it's very important that if you look at the biggest portion of this, that is the techniques and the tactics. That is very, very important, because in volleyball, we have to teach our teams to work together. I will come to tactics just now. I want to focus specifically on tactics in terms of practice. When we talk about tactics, is how we see the situation, what the players look at, and where are their eyes. This is very important. And we want to say that all players must understand their roles at any moment of the game. It's very crucial for coaches to teach the players to know their roles. You cannot remain in the court without the role. The space for volleyball player is relatively small comparing to the other sport. And without understanding your role for you to be able to communicate, it's very difficult as a player to execute a better tactical aspect. Read games the same way, very important for the players to learn to understand what I have just alluded before, which is the chain of actions. For them to understand when are we on offense and when are we in defense, and what are the chain that is expected to be able to be connected together between the opponents, and decide on the same course of action at the same time. This is very important, and this will go back to reading again. We need to read the game all the time. Act together, everyone differently according to their role. This is depend if you are a blocker, you are a defense, you are on, you are a libero. Everybody act together. They must act to be able to execute and to ensure that the rally is victorious in their team. Practice as key development team tactics. What is very important to know is that we have to practice tactics, reading, understanding, decision, acting together as we can understand. This we cannot practice them differently. We have to put them together, and by doing that, we must avoid doing it step by step. do it at the same time as a whole. As I have explained, it's a chain of action. You cannot break that action. You won't be able to complete a rally. Then I want to go to effective practice. It's more recommended that 6 versus 6 when you do it, because that is the game situation, and this we have also learned in various classes, especially the American versions. They like to do it like the game exactly, but all the time you must practice game-like training, very important. A game-like training, and you have now to divide it between whether it's competitive or non-competitive. And when we look at competitive, we must always train under pressures. We must always ensure that we meet the intensity expected in the match or are higher than what is expected in the match. We should never exercise to train less than what is expected. That's why we must train under pressure, and then we must test task and the conditions of the practice as coaches. And then we on the non-competitive, we can look at the reputational practice. And then the very important is that we have freedom to expose the boundaries of their skills without the pressure of avoiding errors, because that is non-competitive. And repeat errors, including errors of organizations. In matches, you have, in competitive, you have to be in a competitive mode. And with non-competitive, you can always repeat the same things and correct errors as you go. And then I want to continue. Coaches decide what they want to practice and what they is focused for instructions and feedback. The coaches in this regard must decide on condition for the first actions. And if you can see at the picture there, middle blockers under pressures, is the coach that is initiating the actions. This is training in block, the block skill, where we put the middle blocker under pressures. I didn't put 6 versus 6 due to time limit. And just to continue, the second one is when, where, how does the ball enter the game? That is very important. The coach to decide, and the type of conduct, whether the first ball you put in the court it will be regarded as the first ball or the second ball already, or the conduct you want it to be a underhand pass, or the first conduct can be an overhand pass, or it must be a defense action, or it must be a block action. And position of entry, where the ball is coming from, whether it's coming from the sidelines or from the shorter line, wherever the coach is standing. What is very important, always play to finish off the rally. When you are doing the practice, it's very important that always learn your players to win the rally. You should never shorten the rally. You must always ensure that the rally is completed for them to have a proper understanding and feelings of proper practice and the experience of the game. With this view, I would like to end my presentation. I would like to thank you, and if you have any questions, I will entertain it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joel, for your presentation. I think it's a good content. I mean, you touched a very important subject. But what I need from you that you need to add more, some videos, plus the photos. I think some videos will help a lot to explain the drills and so on. We will open the floor if anybody would like to ask Joel any questions, please. Hello, guys.
Yes, may I ask?
Ahmed, please.
Hi, Joel. Congratulations, very strong material, I think. But I have one question. You said about in the slide of general and special preparation. You give us some percentage about physical and technical and tactical. So, but yes, about this percentage, you didn't talk about the different age. If this percentage will be the same with old age, with the elite players, with the young players, I want to know your answer about this percentage. Which with the elite or the youngest or what? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Amit, for your questions. My percentage was mainly focused on elite athlete. I didn't focus on athlete because we must understand that athletes at a different level of the age and different level of development need different conditions in practice. We can't put the same pressure on young athletes or athlete that is still having complications of bone sophistications. We can't do that. That's why this one was just focused on that. And thank you for your questions. I think it's very important that I should consider in the future to put in terms of variations in age category. Thank you.
Okay, guys, the next question, please, very fast.
Okay, Coach, I want to ask Joel, Islam with you.
Go ahead, Islam, please, fast.
Okay, thank you, Joel, for a wonderful presentation, really. My question is from your perspective. You talk about drills, non-competitive and competitive. How to prepare your players to have a good mentality to do this kind of drills effectively? I talk about the drills non-competitive. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think with this kind of training, the difference of non-competitive and competitive, we must always look at which phase we are. If we are in competition period, we must focus more on competitive training because we are facing competition. And when we are having enough times, depending on our planning, on our micro cycle or planning, but what my advice is, when we are in competition phase, we must try to give more focus on competitive. And when we are in a different phase, then we will give a different a non-competitive training. Non-competitive training is for you to be able to correct errors that you need to improve in the future. But for competitive, it's for you to focus on the game so that you can ensure you address all the game aspects because you are in the competitive phase.
Thank you.
I would like to add one comment, please, for the non-competitive training and drills. When we are trying to solve the errors or to fix the errors or to work to solve the errors, we can use sometimes a different ratio of speed the ball. When we would like to make it, slow ratio, using the speed of the ball not very aggressive and the speed not very fast, then we can solve the problem. And then we can ask the players to move up or to raise the speed of the ball. Okay, this is another comment. The next question, please, and the last one. Hello, guys. No questions? Okay, thank you very much, Joel. And I think you can go. And happy birthday for your daughter. And we are looking forward to see you the next Friday. I would like to announce that we will have Percy Onken, the Brazilian coach. He's one of the legends from my point of view. I believe that he's one of the people who built the new era of Brazil. He worked for Brazil for 24 years in youth and juniors, and he will join us next Friday. The plan was Anastasi, and today in the morning he apologized, and I hope everybody will enjoy Percy next Friday, 8 p.m. Okay, Joel, thank you very much, and you can go if you want. The next,
thank you very much.
I think we are.
I wish you a pleasant
allow
evening.
me, we will take Artul because A, and then who is next after A? The same. Okay. Atangana, which one? Okay, you can start Atangana and then Artul, please. Artul, okay? Now Atangana. Hello, Leon.
Yes.
Ready?
Good evening. I would like to know if I have shared my screen.
No voice, no sound.
No sound yet. Do you see my screen?
Screen we don't see, but we can hear you.
No.
Is it okay now?
Please. We are not able to listen to you, okay?
Is it okay now? Is it okay now? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can see your screen, Atangana.
Yes?
Yes, but
we can
screen
you
share.
hear
we can also hear you. Yeah.
I can see your screen and hear your voice.
You hear my voice now?
Yes, go
Okay,
ahead,
perfect.
Atangana, we can hear you.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I am very pleased to be with you this evening. My presentation is on management of information by the staff during, and this topic was taken from Captain Sharif presentation on coaching. And I took this subject because of the interesting of the presentation of Captain Sharif. And today Captain Sharif said many good information and important information on this subject. Okay. But today I will just emphasize on leaning on my own experience with the national team. So, as you know, the coach, the team is compared to a company, and the boss of the company is the coach. Therefore, you need to have more information, a good database of information to share with the team. We have which information we need in different phase of the preparation on the game and after the game. We have, I divided this presentation in three three main information: general information concerning the hall, concerning the nutrition, concerning the atmosphere, the behaviors of the public during the game. So it's very important for you as coach to know about those general information. After that, we have to take into consideration information coming from the open team. And here, the most important thing for me is to know about the philosophy of the team. If you know who is the trainer of the team, of the opponent team, you can easily know about the philosophy of the team. Also important, the ranking of the team, the place where they prepared, the different results of their games, the level of the teams, and something also important is which skills are they performing on? Which are the main player? Do they use the youngest or old players? So you can better prepare your team. And we move to the information on my own team. In my opinion, the most important information is about the.
Can you hear me, please?
Sorry?
Can you hear me? You have a button in the right for slide. I mean, push it, please, down. And
yeah.
No, down on the right. I mean, on the presentation to make it like slides, not like this.
Press F5. Press F5.
Yes, this. Push, please. Yes, okay.
Okay, thank you. Then I was talking about information on my own team. Sure, very important thing: control individual performances of players, and also important the last training session. It's very important to know the information after the last training session. Then we move to the game plan. When we made the game plan, I prepare for you a video for one of our game. We were preparing a game against Libya, and here we work with the video on the opponent team Libya to see on each rotation what they used to do. Very important to know how many players are in the reception, who is the opposite, who is the setter, and how they perform, how they behave during with strong service, with slow service. And this is, I think it's critical when you prepare a game. It's also important in this slide. You can see we were preparing a game against Algeria, and you can see Algeria is playing this game most in zone 4. So it's important for you when you prepare a plan to react in front of such teams. Then we move to during the game. Something very important I observe is according to the law. Now we have a good law which allow the coach to move and to stand near the court. And this is very important for him to increase the chance to win by communicating every time with the players. This information comes from the statistician, if you have one statistician, We can use tablets. We can use talkie-walkies like this. And with the tablets, you have now delayed actions with the new management of the team. We can also have information coming from the bench with the assistant coach, and also have information from the players. And this communication is very important in 3 key moments: during the time out, and between 2 sets, and during the substitution, as we heard with Captain Shrif. This is very important because this is made in order to foil the opponent team and to always keep the balance positive in each rallies for your team. Then we move to the end of the match after the game. After the game, for me, in my opinion, the most information is the result of the game. The result of the game, even if it's a good result or a bad result, it is very important to analyze this feedback. This feedback is coming from the match report to the match record given by the referees after the game, or you can also analyze the P2. I choose for you one of the game we did with the Poland team, and I wanted to emphasize on open error especially, and very, very important aspect is about the ratio between the first attack after positive reception or the first attack after negative reception. I think it's a huge difference between the teams, because if you manage this very well, you can perform very well also. And after the game, you can also use the P2. This is the report given from the statistics, if you have a statistician. And this report is very important because here you can see the game we played against Egypt. You can see the best on the scoring skills. You can see which player performed very well in the both teams, and all those informations are very important for me as a coach and for us as coach to know which kind of mistake, which kind of open or errors we give to the open team, and which kind of errors the opponent team gives us. And the reading of all those information is very important for the preparation of the next training sessions for the next competition on the next game. So now we have many good stuff which can help us to prepare the team to continue to increase the chance to win. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Tangana, but I have some comments. First, I don't know why you are, driving us to use the reports coming from the VIS. We have you are talking that we will have a data volley statistician, and in data volley you will find all information. We don't need to go for the VIS, because the VIS people, they are not professional, and they are not giving professional enough. They are not giving a real accurate technical information. Then, if you have the data volley, I was very happy because you said about the operant error coming from the report of data volley, and you are talking about the last part from the report at the end of the report down. And then, I mean, this is very good, and a lot of other points you can read and you can evaluate your team or the other team. But I prefer not to use the other report, the VIS report, except you don't have a data volley statistician or data volley information, because it's better that.
Sorry, Dr. Sharif, this report, the second report, is not from the VIS. It's also from data volley, but it's not common from.
Show me, please. Return, please. Return. Okay, return back.
Not common for statistician to use this, but it's also
return back. Return,
from,
please.
From data volley.
I mean, return for the slide, please. Return for the slide. Yes, he's here. This one, the P2, is belong to data volley. Okay, they can provide someone from data volley to prepare it, but it's belong to the VIS, not for our use. For our, I think you have to use the other reports, and you have another report very accurate, and you can find a lot of details inside. By the way, they give this report for the media, not for the coaches. You can use it if you don't have information. Okay, the B2. Okay.
Okay.
If anybody have any questions, please, you can. Anybody can ask him, please. Guys, no questions? Okay, the next will be Artwell. If you are ready, please go ahead.
Okay.
Guy, can you stop sharing so that Artwell can? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm trying to share my page. Okay, I'm trying to share my page here. Just give me a minute or so. Okay. I think I'm having some problem getting to share my page here. What can I do now?
Okay, Artwell, can I share it from this side because we're running out of time?
Okay, it's fine. It's all right.
I'll try and share it from this side.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Anzo, start, please.
Can you see it?
Yes, I can see it now.
Yes, yes. But please,
Okay,
Enzo,
I can start
F5.
now?
F5, yes, okay. Start, please.
Can I start now? Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Sheriff, for the opportunity to join the webinar, and my apologies for meeting the last webinars. So my presentation is from Coach Mark Lebedu, getting the most out of the practice. So we move to the introduction. Mr. Enzo, can you move to the introduction page?
Enzo, please. Enzo. Next, Enzo. Yes.
Okay. So the most interesting part in volleyball coaching is a well-planned practice. And then, so as you know, as a coach, you need to know how to carry out the practice, and you need to make sure that all your players are aware of the roles that they're going to do. And also, the coach should have a vision on how the team needs to play. So you must imagine what you want your team to do, and when you do your planning, it must then tally with what you want your players to do. You need to have a clear picture of what is to be done. We can move to the next slide.
Next, Enzo.
So
wait.
Yeah. So the key elements of a good training session includes the technique, and that is the technique and the physical preparation, as well as the tactics. And when we're talking about technique, we're talking about the execution of a skill, and then physical, that is preparing the body to solve certain physical challenges as well. And then tactic, we are talking about how we're going to achieve our goal, working together as a team, like the strategy. So we can move to the next slide. So to get the best out of your practice, it is important that your players should be able to read the game both at the match and at practice. And now the coach also needs to help the players on how to read. You also need to, at some point, to prepare a plan on teaching your players how to read. And when you're talking about how to read, is you have to use, okay, when we talk about reading, you have to use your eyes. What is it that we see? And then after we see something, we then have to make a decision based on what we can see. And also, even if the player sees something, the coach is also supposed to provide options to the players. But at most instances, it's very important that if the players are at a high level players, you need to make sure you give them time to make their own decisions. You have to make them to be like autonomous. And you see, even after we have seen and we make a decision, the next thing that we have to do is we have to react. And you realize most of the errors that we do when we are playing volleyball are not only due to technical, but most of them are due to poor reading. So it is important that we need to read. So we can move to the next slide. Next slide. So if to have our tactics effective, we need this is how the team works together. We're talking about effective tactics. This is how the team works together to achieve a goal. So team tactics are achieved when the team has one goal and the team is working together, which includes organization on how to receive the ball, and then also organization on how to attack, and then how to defend starting from the block. Each and every player must be aware of his or her own role in any situation. And this happens also through reading. So reading is also a major thing that we need in order for our tactics to be effective. So, and the players should read the game the same time, the same way. They should know everything that is happening. The players should read the game the same way and make decisions. Learning of tactics must be done at the same time with technical learning. There's no time that you can say today we're only working on tactic without putting the technical aspect, or we can just say we are learning on the technical aspect without putting the tactical aspect. You can move to the next slide. So learning theory now at a practice. There are some training sessions that are analytical. After maybe you have played a match, there are things that you have analyzed, and those are the things that you want to solve. And then you have to come up with a training session that is basically an analytical practice plan. And then at some point, you can just do maybe global learning. And we do global learning, especially when we are maybe just starting the season, when we haven't started matches and we don't have constraints as yet. We are still just trying to build up a team to compete. And then also we have constraints learning type of a practice where we now, this is like a game-like situation where we are preparing for the match. We know maybe the opponents that we're going to play. So we will then prepare based on how we are supposed to play, especially when we know maybe we're playing with a team that is good at blocking. Maybe you're working on good passing, and also to make sure our setter gives us good options for our attackers, maybe to have 1 versus 1 block or 1 versus 2, trying maybe to avoid 3 blockers for each attacker. And then there are some practice that we will be focusing on optimum learning, that is the desired learning, when we are improving the motor skill, to make sure that maybe the players are able to perform a certain movement, a predetermined movement based on maybe training and maybe experience. And then we also, on this optimum learning motor training, we'll also be attending or focusing on certain technical aspects of the game that will make sure our team will be able to, the slide is moving away, right, to make sure that the technical aspects of the team's performance. So we're attending and focusing to certain technical aspects of the team's performance. And then we can move to the next slide. And all these things coach can decide depending on the phase that they are. So to get the most out of the practice plan, use of game-like situation, for example, when we play 6 versus 6, because it simulates how we're going to play at the competition. So it's very important so that when we get to the competition, nothing is new to the players. And the coach must emphasize to the players that this is not a just play situation. We have goals that we are supposed to attend. The coach has to decide the focus and the structure of play based on set goals. You have your set goals before the training session, what you want to achieve. And then in this is the most important part in the main training, that we make sure that the coach decides, and the coach decides on how we are going to play. For example, we can have a normal game, 6 versus 6, or we can modify the game and maybe change rules, maybe use watch drills. Sometimes when we can maybe decide, the coach can decide when to put a second ball or how to initiate the drill. And these also can be, in this phase, you can also do the non-competition. This is, maybe you're just playing, you want more repetition, and it's a controlled situation, and you're not so much worried about scores. Maybe you can use time and more repetitions, and you can also do them with in a competitive way. This is when you use scores, and players will perform differently when they scores. It also stimulates in them a competition, because they have a goal. They want to score. They want to get to the target of the points that are needed. And also, you can introduce a bonus point. For example, in a drill, you can say after defend, if you're able to attack a quick tempo, you get a bonus point. Or you can say after defend and you're able to score with a high ball out of system, you get another bonus point. And we can move on. Mr. Enzo. So the coach also needs to decide how the game is initiated. Yeah. So in this kind of a setup of a training, if you have more balls, you you can move back a bit. If you have more balls, that means during the practice there is more conditioning, more conditioning for the players.
Until 1 minute.
Okay, I'm about finished. So if you're using too many balls, you're guaranteed of more conditioning to the players and more repetitions as well. More gameplay, but there will be less specificity. So that's the disadvantage sometimes of having too many balls, maybe on high level performance. But if it is the juniors, you really need as many balls as you can because you want more touches for them. And then if you have few balls, there is also less conditioning and no repetition, but there is more specificity. So as the coach, you have to decide if you want to go specific or you want more repetitions. So with this, it will help you to have a good practice. And thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, Arthur. Thank you very much, but I have some comments. First of all, the first comment will be not only for you, for everybody. I think we have to work more, you and myself also, to develop our ability to prepare a good presentations. I mean, about using the visual videos and photos and so on, and also how to design the presentation more, because the presentation like you did and Atangana and maybe others sometimes very poor. I mean, it will not attract the audience, the people who is watching to concentrate. I pushed myself a lot to concentrate while you are talking, because you are talking and reading, only reading. That's why, I mean, I lost concentration several times, and I'm trying to concentrate. This is first. Second, as I told you, you must use some visual, tools, some videos like Ahmed, what he did in the presentation, yes, and also photos to explain the issue, because this is the fastest way to give the information directly to the audience. Okay. On the other side, also, I think you have to make a better organize your presentation. I mean, to give the titles, the bold, letters, and to make it like to explain more some points to give everybody the good understanding of the meaning of each point. On the other side, we have every time, if you would like to confirm that the people who is watching or joining you understanding very well, that you have to give them examples. I mean, by watching the example or giving some examples to be sure that they understand the point, and I think it will be more effective if you do like that. I didn't understand about the less balls and many balls. What you mean about that? You mean that the number of the balls you have in the training session, or the number of the balls they can use in the training session? I mean, during how many balls, touching balls? I mean, you mean the number of the balls?
No, yes. I meant the number of the balls that you can use. If you're using too many balls, can you just move back to the slide, Mr. N? When you're using too many balls, let me also try to open. Yeah.
No problem. I understand you. Okay, but I need to correct a little bit. Sometimes, if you have you don't have a lot of balls, a big number of balls, you can also make an effective training session, because if you have 5 balls, and you collect the balls very fast, and you are working with 6 and 6, 6 versus 6. I mean, you can use only one ball, but the most important thing that players touching the ball the maximum time. I mean, understand me? And I mean, I don't like in Africa that we use this excuses. I mean, because I listen, I put my finger on this point because I listen a lot about we don't have balls, we don't have playgrounds, we don't have like this. I mean, I don't like this because on the other side, I saw the facilities of in Rwanda, by the way, as an example was Paul Bituk. He is doing a marvelous job there. He was doing a marvelous job there with a less, less tools. I mean, it's up to the coach. He must use the things in the maximum. And believe me, you will not, as a coach, achieve if you start to say we don't have this and we don't have this. You must do your job as maximum as you can and try to be satisfied. Because if you start as a coach, as a leader, to say that we don't have balls, we don't have, I think, okay, we will do our best to give you the everything. But I mean, if I am the organization, I mean, but if you don't have it, don't do that, because you will find your players following you. If you said to the player, if you say that to the player, you didn't do that, yeah, coach, we don't have enough balls. I don't like to give them the reason to say that. Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, I need if anybody have any question, please go ahead, please.
Yes, coach. Excuse me. Hi, Artwell. Really, I like your subject, and thanks for your presentation and feedback also from Mr. Sharif. I like to know and share with me as a coach your experience. What is your way with your players to see and read the same situation in the same time, especially in the reception? Thank you.
Okay. Can you come again? I didn't quite clear the last. I didn't hear the last part clearly. You said how I work on reading, practicing service reception, and
no. What is your way with your players to see and read the same situation in the same time, especially in reception?
Oh, okay. I think what I do is sorry, what is happening? Come on.
I think he's lost, Coach Kororo. We can't hear you.
I think he fall down. Okay. Islam, by the way, you know that repeating actions will find the way to have the same similar action again, because impossible to have the same action the same time, the same way. It's impossible, because that's why we are doing game like to make continuous working to have the similar actions during the match. Okay, that's why impossible to have the same action, except you do the same by helping from the coach himself. Giving the ball in the same place, but this is not good, because we have to practice the player to do everything to act according to the situation, according to the action. Okay, and then he will reflect. That's why impossible to do that. But we can do the nearest way when we repeat several times, we will find that a near action, maybe every training session, maybe every drill. You can find 1 or 2 times or 3 times doing the same, near the same action. Okay. Okay.
Thanks.
If anybody have any questions. Okay, we can go for the next, please. Who will be the next? Tulani or Tulani finished? Or
I can present. Yeah, I can present, Sheriff.
Paul and Tulani and Sibomana?
I can present, Sheriff.
Okay, no problem. You can go, please. F5, please.
Okay, I'm just putting on slideshow. Okay, good evening, colleagues. Good evening, volleyball coaches. And thank you, Sheriff, for the opportunity. And today I'm mainly focusing on, we had so many questions, comments about the mental skills and toughness across all the presentations that we have had this far. So I decided to pick this topic just to focus keenly on ensuring that we develop our mental skills and toughness for peak performance. So firstly, I want to just make a quick definition of mental toughness. So you'd realize that it's more towards the set of positive attributes that a player or a person has to cope with difficult situations. And I highlight difficult situations because more oftenly we have players that can play under normal circumstances, but they fail to thrive under very difficult circumstances. So within the definition, there are 9 critical elements that include things like attitude, motivations, goals and commitment, people skills, self-talk, that is in between the players and maybe even the opponents, the mental, imaginary. I'm going to highlight this as I discuss some of my elements, and then the element of managing anxiety and managing the emotions. I think we fall short as you are managing the emotions as well as concentration. So you'd note that I tried to build these concepts into more structured manner in terms of the critical elements that we might need, that the players and the team to have to develop the mental toughness. One of the critical ones is I've got the forces, which the first one is a commitment. So you'd realize that commitment begins from training right up to competition phase, and the critical things to consider is the delivery-oriented commitment that gives you the results at the end of the day based on the technical and tactical ability, as well as the goal-oriented setting, where we need to ensure that we have structured goals that are set right from the beginning, that are short and long term, and we visualize those particular goals, and players visualize and the team visualize and understand the goals. And also there is an element of challenge that needs to be put in place even during the pre-preparation phase, you know, at the beginning as the players are developing up to the time when they're at high performance level. And we need at all costs give them the challenge from one point to the other, one level to the other, and ensuring that the players are being stretched even during the games, during the training period, and also learning from everything that occurs during the period. And I think one of the key things at the end of the day is the confidence, that is the abilities in order to generate the confidence that could be within a personal level or as a team, as well as the interpersonal confidence. Because in this sense, I would give an example, the players, in between the players, there is need for that confidence within the players so that everyone feels comfortable working with a particular teammate across board. And lastly, but not the least, is the issue of control, where we have got the ability to even control your life and control the game. And it goes to an extent of the emotional control that you have at different parts of the games, because you can have stressful moments. And during the stressful moments, that's when we want each player to be in a control of his locus and ensure that, you know, he still maintain a certain level of commitment and application. So I share with you these pictures on the side. This is my team that I coached, that one Zone 6 in 2018, the first time for a Swazi team to go as far as the semifinals to start with, but winning against strong opponents like Botswana, Kuklwano, the powerhouse of the region. It was one of the critical things that we looked at, but the main emphasis was hinged on mental toughness, and we spent almost 6 months developing mental toughness. So now I want to highlight the critical things that you need to do to increase your mental strength. One, I need a combination of psychological preparation as well as long-term planning. So you'd see in the picture on the right-hand side, I've got a Botswana national team that is undergoing the psychological preparation being led by a psychologist. And within that, they evaluate the core beliefs that they have as a team, as well as individuals. So you'd see the group work that was being done by the team in 2018. And this needs to even identify the way they can expend the mental energy wisely so that you don't overutilize the energy that you generate mentally. Otherwise, when it comes to the endurance, it can affect the whole element of other elements of the game. And also the other things that way we want to replace the negative thoughts with productive thoughts at all levels. That psychological build-up needs to ensure that we have got minimal elements of negativity within the thoughts, but more positivity, even if the team is down, and even if the team is not doing so well, or even if the player is not doing so well. But let's replace, we encourage the coaches, the teams, to replace that negative thoughts into productive thoughts, as well as what is critical right at the bottom of my funnel is to practice tolerating discomfort. More oftenly, we lose out in terms of pressure games when we can't tolerate discomfort at certain given times. Then I managed within the bigger picture of mental toughness, I managed to extract 5 critical elements. So you see the first one where when we want to encourage the team and the players to focus on those things they can control, the things that they can do better, and also let go of mistakes quickly and efficiently, and also sustain that focus throughout the duration of the context or the season. Then 2, I've already highlighted the issue of confidence, but I want to say this needs to be achieved and maintained with a strong sense of self-belief and execute a skill task successfully. I think you'd realize that once in a while you'd have those challenges. The element of relaxation and arousal of control, which also goes with the recovery issues, is very critical to players, where we need volleyball players to be at a certain level of arousal to allow them to perform at the peak, and concentration becomes very critical. And one of the issues that really I big lay down is number 4, where there is lapse of concentration. You'd realize that in most instances, when you have called a timeout, you see that maybe easily the teams manage to get an additional point on side out because there is that element of distraction that is occurred during the game. So we need to ensure that during the process, we develop the players to maintain attention and concentration throughout the full competition. Even if it's difficult to attain, this must be done through training, and as one of the key tools and the base of mental fitness is very critical. Then the 5th point, I think, which from a coaching point we are lacking on imagery, whereby we want to focus on how to visualize certain skills. They learn better by visualizing. They see it better by seeing what is happening. They see it better by observing patterns of play and unfolding. And my colleague earlier on described the video where he had to show the statistics and how to use the statistics and other methods to visualize and see how we can develop the player athletes as we prepare for the tournament. So I've got this visualization, and with the special keyword that I've highlighted in red, that is together. And for us to develop mental toughness as a team, the word together becomes very critical. I've said at the beginning here, the first one is sticking together. Let's bring the players together. They stick together. Could it be during the games, before the games, or in any areas? Like you see, this is Swazi ladies team, national team that is together watching games. They prepare during that preparation. That togetherness builds the team. And before the match, you psych them together. They feel being part of the team. They feel that they are one as a team. And also here, I've got a coach, a very good coach of mine based in Zimbabwe, who is coaching support unit skills, who is also, that interface between the player and coaching during the game, during the trainings is very critical for success. And we celebrate the losses and the victories together. And I underline losses and victories together, weaknesses and strengths together. So basically, on one of my key last slides is mental toughness training for volleyball. I've divided this into 3 critical phases. 1, let's set up the vision, the team vision. Players set up the personal goals and targets. 2, let's develop a training plan that is long-term, that focuses on balance between technical, tactical, endurance, and mental training. 3, let's also not miss the word mental training as part of those critical elements. Phase 2, let's put an emphasis on letting the players grow from their mistakes and emphasize on game-like training. My colleagues have been highlighting that. And then the critical phase is now we want to develop the game by refining the targets and prepare for the competition, where we want to use the latest type of game-like systems, especially on side-out drills and wash-out drills that can be developed, the 1-to-1 drills, whereby when we serve, we get a point from service, and then we, on transition, we ensure that we get an additional 2 points, or even more points from transition. Then it makes us get additional points at all the time when we are on side out, and we clear off on side out and get additional points all the time when we are receiving. And then the emphasis on pressure drills is very critical, as well as playing for the team and not for individuals becomes one of the critical elements. In conclusion, I just want to show, I had 2 videos, but for now, because of time, I'm just going to show 1 video where the players, firstly, the players need to have a part doing what they are doing at all times. But I want to send this message to coaches. We decide the destiny of mental strength and peak performance. And for me to share this video, I just want you to, as coaches, to take note of the critical elements which is being shared by our US colleagues in terms of what the coach does and the influence of the coach in any game setting. So I would share this video for you to go through it, and I would just urge you just a minute to listen through the video.
No sound. Okay, Tolani. No problem. Okay, all of us know this video. Okay, and I think you can stop the video now and start the questions, please. First of all, I would like to thank you for can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. And I don't know if you were with me yesterday. Yesterday we had a meeting in our club, and we were talking about with one expert about the mental toughness, and we would like to make an agreement with this company to help us. Then I think you were there. I mean, it's a very important apart from our sport. I mean, will support our sport, and I think a lot of coaches is not doing a good job in this side, and I hope that everybody will join. I mean, will try to follow what Tolani said tonight, and in the future you have to discover this part very much, and important to have one of the specialists inside your team or supporting your team. By the way, I told you before that especially I have a good example, especially in the USA team. They are working very good in this side, and they did a very good job, especially in the past when Doug Beal was heading the team. I mean, he talked a lot about that, and he believed that it's a very important tool to help your players and especially also to work on yourself. This is first. Second, I need from all of you and from Tolani also to make your presentation more simple, because when you put a lot of a lot of words and the presentation is too much. I'm doing the same faults sometimes, but you know the audience will lose the concentration. But it's wonderful presentation for me. I like it very much, and I open the floor. I give the floor to anybody who would like to ask. Please, any questions?
Yes, coach. Okay, can I ask my question?
Yes, Islam, go ahead.
Okay, thank you for a professional presentation, I think, and a very important topic. My question, could you explain for me how to increase mental toughness practically by clear steps with your libero, especially in reception? I mean, reduce mistake under stress.
Okay. Oh, that's a very good question, Islam, and more oftenly, I think we feel, especially on reception, because of the pressure that is associated with these days, a lot of emphasis on service. And I think this is where we need to organize.
Rani, we have only 1 minute, please, because we don't have enough time for others. Okay, only 1 minute, because Islam is always asking a long question, needs 2 hours to reply. Okay, please.
Okay, so I think I would still go back to the pressure drills where we need to ensure that we put service-based pressure drills for reception for the libero and improve the efficiency of libero's reception. We can do the variation service, you know, both from the float as well as the jump service, as well as the speed can also variate, as well as the range of service can also variate, and that mobility towards reception can improve over time. And at the same time, we do calculative statistical analysis for these particular elements so that we can, you know, every time when we're having a session, we can see the level of efficiency that the player is having. And then with time, we can see a lot of improvement. It's more focus and then more improvement from the libero. Thank you, Islam.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next, we need Paul, or we can start, Paul, and we will have our fruit, our FAVB instructor at the end to make the last presentation. And then we can, Paul Bituk, we can start with you and finish with Sibumana, okay? Open the mic, please. Mic. Paul, unmute. Unmute, Paul, unmute the mic. Yes?
Okay, I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, very good.
Okay, let me try to share the document.
F5, my brother, F5.
It's okay now?
I mean, push F5.
Yeah, I've tried to push. It's okay now. You can hear me?
Yes, Paul, go ahead. Go ahead, please. 10 minutes.
Thank you so much. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Paul Bitok. I'm the head coach of the national team of Kenyan women. And tonight, I would like to say hello to you all and thank you for giving me this chance. Thank you for coaches for great presentation. And I hope this was the right thing that our president of commission, Sharif, for giving us an opportunity to express our talents in coaching or in all instructors of Africa. My main subject tonight is coaching task and practice. And I got this mostly from Sharif. But I found that all the coaches, they have the same similar material. So I wouldn't say that this one is coming from a specific person. So when we talk about coaching tasking, it is the key for our daily work, because we have to train every day. And if you have advantage, you understand more about coaching task. That means when you have good knowledge, you have good skills, and you have a good attitude for training, and you can have efficiency in the coaching. So these are some of the points that I've highlighted here. If information athletes about if you inform the athletes about the objective and task of training session, then it will make your work very easy. You have to explain. They must know that the task for today, it is a block, it is reception, or it's what. It must be very clear. You must explain and demonstrate the exercise. Sometimes you find that some players, they need to see the exercise, how it goes. Maybe you have to demonstrate. You have to teach them, consolidate skills and tactics. This is very important, because when you are dealing with tactics also, you must help as a coach. Ensure exercises are done properly in the main part of the lesson. This ones, I mean that you will find that there is a warm-up section, there is special training for some players, but the main part must be very, very important, because this is the time that you lose more time in training. When you define warm-up and the others, the main part is the key of training. Observe and detect physical, technical, and tactical problem of an athlete. All players are not same, so all the time when you are dealing with players, you must know the difference between themselves. Communicate and intervene to correct the athlete's action. Sometimes you must have a feedback with what you have communicated to the player, especially when there is an action which you see that you must correct it before you forget, then you have to stop maybe and communicate well to the player. So sometimes when there is an action, you must participate also and help to correct it. Handle the ball in various situations. This is normal to all coaches. Control warm-up, training performance, and cool down. Sometimes you find that you are a head coach, you leave everything to the trainers, like those ones who are working with physical training. Physical trainer, you don't even bother what they are doing. If they are warming up, you just maybe making stories and you leave everything. When they are cooling down, sometimes you have to follow as the head coach and to see that they are doing the right thing and they have the attention. So this is very important. A quick look at this task shows the need for a coach to inquire. So this one means you have to inquire knowledge all the time of your athletes. You must understand them. You must know what is advantage, what you need to help. Knowledge about the training. You don't come to training if you don't have any information of what you are going to do. So sometimes you get information well about your training. Communication and teaching skills. This one I've said before. We must always have a good communication when you are dealing with players. And then we have a knowledge and related field. Sometimes when you are going to have the training, please make sure you know what you are going to do. Don't reach there and then you bring confusion. Maybe you start by coaching, mixing your training. Maybe when you have a task of blocks, then you end up mixing. You have defense, you have what. So sometimes you must have a related case. In preparation for the training, you have to highlight about the key elements, players' roles, and special tasks. You see, you have to give sometimes certain players some roles and tasks in each training, or sometimes when you have time about this one. Simulate environment and conditions is very important. So in Africa, we have sometimes environment is not favoring us and conditions. So we don't need to complain. We don't need to, as Coach Sharif said before, when I was in Rwanda, sometimes you face some challenges. You have to train outside. So you must accept what you have and you have to work. You go to objective of practice. There is a word which I was given by Sharif before, that make the training or make everything in training in a smart way. And smart is just a short word that it can help you to work well. And this smart, it shows that if you follow this, it will help you to have a very good training and a very good future when you are an instructor or a coach. Here, there is a specific. You must have in your training a specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-related. Don't put too much things that you know that you cannot be able to do it. You must give a task of your team or yourself that you can achieve, or it's a realistic, it's understandable that this one can be done. Don't put too much to yourself. And also you must remember time is very, very important. Sometimes you have the 2 hours for training. So you must know that I must finish training in certain time, or I must have results in 3 months. So this is a short word that I'm using, smart. Here I have 2 things which I have combined. When you are dealing with the tactics, you must also have the strategy plan concerning your team. So I list here a few points, list the activities needed to achieve each objective. You must put down, you must write that, okay, my achievement is this, my objective is this. Don't just be coaching without putting your things in plan. Specify a list of action for each activity. If you know that I'm going to work today in this position or in my plan for the match, this is what I need to have for my team. Who is going to do it and when? You see, sometimes you have to give even assistant coaches their roles. They have to do this. Today you are going to do this and when? What time? At the beginning of the training, at the middle of the training, players, what they are going to do at what time. Then number 4, I have how much money do we have for the team? How much time to spend? If I have a problem of transport, for example, here in Africa, we have several things that which can limit us. Maybe your team must go early before the rush time, because the money or the fare of the players, it will be increased. So to save them, maybe I must consider them. Maybe the team, they have to go to camp to train. Do I have money to train for 2 weeks, for 1 month? So you have to consider as a coach. And also the time, as I said before, you must know that if it is a competition, African Championship that you are preparing for, if it is 3 weeks is enough or 4 weeks, is it the same? If I use the same money for 4 weeks, is enough? No, let me train out of camp for 2 weeks, and 1 week I go to camp. So you have to consider this. Make priorities adjustment, take it into consideration resources. I talked about the money already. Yeah. And now the last section we hear that I have tonight is a practice section. I wouldn't go to details. We talked, and other coaches also showed us about the warm-up. The only thing which I wanted to highlight here on the warm-up is what coach for Turkey told us, that before starting the warm-up, can you make the mood to be well organized and in a good mood? Especially me, I'm a coach for women, so we need to change their attitude and to bring them to the mood for the training for that day. So I have video which I can share with you for my team, what I usually do before the warm-up. I don't know if I can share at the end or I can share it now. And so which one is better? I combine all at the end, or I can share it
Only
now?
1 minute, Paul. Only 1 minute to go.
Okay. Okay, let me finish and then I will share with you the video that I have. And then about the main part of the training, I said before, you must give it a lot of time and warm up and at the end of the training. My colleagues and most of you have talked about game-like training, which is very important. We must modify games with the drills. We keep changing. You understand more about watch drills. This is very important when you are preparing for the match, because they must be ready all the time to fight for the point. And this such drills helps a lot. We talk about 6-on-6. I put this one because in Africa, most of us, we don't have 12 players who is able. You cannot have them all at the same time. So sometimes 6-6 is good for maybe in Europe or other countries which are able to have players, or the teams, maybe national team, but club you might have less players. So we need also to consider our situation, not only to use what we have been told here. And then about other drills, there is a competitive and non-scoring drills, and then there is another one which is you put points. So that one is very important. And then about practice and tactics, we understand more about reading, understanding decision, and acting together. I don't want to go in details more about this because of time. This I've been told for all coaches have talked about this, and this is very important for us to put in our consideration. All players must understand this. Okay, training under pressure sometimes very good. You can put pressure. Players to know them and to understand when you are in such situation during the match. In conclusion, I wrote something we should learn from others, but come up with our own way. So sometimes we can copy from other coaches, like our friends that the international coaches have taught us, but we can come up with our own way, but the same things and to achieve. Allow me now to share a few videos about less than 2 minutes or 1 minute.
You already exceed the time. Okay, but you go please for the video, and we will not have any question, and we will go for Sibomana for the rest of the time.
Share.
You have to open the video first outside, and then you choose from the desktop.
So here you find that this is warm-up. Last time we talked about playing over the net or playing 6x6. And I put this one so that we can also help us and tell us, what is it possible for us to continue using this, or we have to change completely and go 6x6. I try to use this one sometimes as warm-up, but on one side. Then I have another one. No, then I can.
Kazarani.
Yeah. 1 minute. Share and hold.
Okay, Paul, because the time is running. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. I have to go for Simona. We have only 15 minutes. He will take 10 minutes.
This is 1 second, eh? Just 1 second. This is Sheriff. I used this one before the warm-up of the day, because when you have a good mood, like now, all the players must chase this player. I think I've gone. Nothing problem. Okay, Sheriff, you can continue. If there is any question, please.
Okay, thank you very much, my brother. I think it's a good presentation. But I would like you to share the visual videos during the presentation. I mean, you can use that during your explanation, during you are presenting the information. Okay. Then we can go to Sibomana now. Thank you very much, my brother Paul. Now, Sibomana, it's your floor. Stop sharing, Paul, please. Now, Sibomana, your floor, please.
Okay, let me just share the document. Hello? Are you hearing me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
And yes. And the document is there. The document is there. Hello? Are you hearing me?
Yes, yes. Please,
the document is there.
We can see it, okay? We can see the document, okay? But I mean, push F5. Or, I mean, to make it like a presentation, to move on. Down on the right. Push the button down on the right. Or F5. No.
F5.
Yes. It's okay.
Okay, now. So now, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to present my topic. Hello? Are you hearing me?
Introduce yourself.
Hello?
You're loud and clear, Vitok. Just proceed with the presentation.
Okay, thank you so much. My topic is about the role of the coach that presented with me via Telisomana and CAVB instructor. So to my topic, I want to talk about like a theoretical, no videos, no photos. It's not a topic about theory. Just to know who's the coach, the role of the coach, the responsibilities and the functions of the coach, and then the behaviors of the coach toward the partners and the players. So I start by explaining what's the coach. The coach is a professional head of the team who is responsible for the preparation and the performance of a single player or the team as a whole. A coach is a person who is responsible for the results. And then I go to major function of the coach's work. The coach is responsible for the development of the personality, is responsible for social activities, is a sport training function manager. Then if I go to the development of personality, I can just state some characteristics of what coach should do in the development of personality. Is the one molding of character, is the one responsible for courage, who has to be with courage, strong in persistence. He's the person of kindness with moral qualities of personality, and he's a person who has to be honest, just to be the key person in the society, or a person from which people will learn from. Is the person who has to be responsible, just being of principle devotion. Is the person of collectiveness, political qualities for the personality, and some civil ideology. Is the patriotism, is just a fighter for the peace, internationalism, and solidarity. Then if I go to social activity of the coach also have to be involved in the social activities in the society. He's the one who has to develop and popularize the volleyball in his club, in the region, and in the country. He's the one taking, he has responsibility of taking part in the work of the National Federation. He has to appear in the press, on the TVs, and the social medias. He has to be making some scientific research just to be updated on what is going on, what is being changing, just to go with updates. He's the one who is responsible of giving assistance to other coaches, start as coaches, even the other coaches from the clubs and other teams. He also has to be assisting other teams, not only his own team. He also has to be participating in organization of preparation of competitions. And then if I go to sport training functions, the main function of the coach is just to determine the goal in the intermediate and the final result. He's the one responsible for selecting and coordinating the staff. He's just assisting and the specific, he's the one responsible to select the assistants, the special captain, and the coaches council. He's the one responsible to select the players, just for general and specific tests from the players, so that they can select players after making some tests which are general, which are specific. He's the one responsible for preparing and planning preparation of the trainings for short, medium, and long term for cycle of training session for individuals and for individuals and group training. Is the one responsible for training session, just teaching, conducting, perfectioning, and the responsible management of equipment and facilities. Is the one responsible for competition, just scouting, specific preparation, plan for the game, and management of the competition matches. Is the one also responsible of making some performance analysis and the correction after competition, after training. And then there are some general philosophy for the coaches. The coach must be prepared at all the time. Is the one responsible for demonstrating to the team that he is well organized. Has to demonstrate confidence toward the team. He has to demonstrate technical and tactical competencies. He has to demonstrate maturity. He has to be a behavior role model for the players. He has to define leadership and seeking answers when an unexpected situation happens in the team. Demonstrate flexible and ability to deal with players at any level. Never forget that he is on will to win, his own leadership, his own competitiveness, his own personal will have to be transmitted through the team, and the team has success or failure. And also has to know that he is the one responsible, and he will be the responsible of the success or failure from the team. And then, as I said, I have also to talk about the behaviors of the coach, how coach does behave toward the partners. The partners that I want to mean is just the coaching staff and the players. And then to the coaching staff and the coaching should always start training on time and every time. Always be dressed in clean, neat coaching apparel. Always be well groomed. Always have practice outlined in journal or notebook, not just coming and training and then just be imagining some exercise or drills when he's there. He has to be having a planned agenda or notes for the training. And then you also have to have some behaviors to the players, or how players should behave when they have the coaches, or what is the role of the coach on how players should behave. So players should be always ready to start the practice on time, should set up the practice gym, should be prepared mentally for each practice, focusing on areas they need to concentrate on, be in a mood of presentation on what they will play. Then also, as a summary, coach has to know that he is the key person responsible for the success. Also, we have to know that there are some kinds or two kinds of coaches' role. Most of us coaches, we go to the courts and then we are like, we want to show every time what players should do, or we are the responsible of making a demonstration, and it's not the case. We should just leave the players make some take their role and responsibilities up so that they can perform their own role, so that the coach and or assistant coach perform all the supporting roles and the responsibility to make the drill work, and which is somehow wrong because the players, they are the ones to perform and do the practice. The coach give the supporting role and responsibility to the athlete to perform, not every time the coach to be performing the ball more than the players, whereby you can see, you can find some coaches that touch the balls many times more than the players, which is wrong. So just as a comment, it's not the responsibility of the coach to physically manage the drill, but rather to guide and correct the athletes. The coach is there just to give you some guidance, some correction, and then manage the drill as he has prepared the session. Now, this is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my brother. I think we have only 3 minutes to go. First of all, I would like to tell you one important thing, that it's different between you when you are, reading a document for somebody or teaching the information. Teaching the information and presenting the presentation, you must, act like that. It needs from you that you have to talk a little bit slower and try to explain during your presentation and giving some examples. Even the time was short, little bit, but in the future you have to do like that. Also, as I told others about using videos and using some visual photos, it will be better to show the idea. It's easier.
Yeah, I understand, but the problem is, as I explained before, is that my topics are kind of like theoretical more than just practical.
Yes,
That's why I need
them. You can use some photos. Or
yeah,
some.
For sure. Next time I have
things to let audience understand and follow what you are telling us. Any
For
questions
sure.
before we go?
For sure.
We have only 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, guys. Okay, Enzo, thank you very much, everybody. Enzo, do you need anything? Yes. Okay, Enzo, do you need any comments? We will talk about what you send me now or later. If you, if I can finish now, Enzo. Unmute. Enzo.
Okay, just to thank you and all the fellow instructors for attending, and just to utilize the feedback from Sherif and the other companions to make the next session better. That is the whole essence of continuous training, so that we can give a continuous improvement and continue.
Okay, guys, at the end, I would like to thank everybody for the efforts. And I think you are doing a good efforts, and also looking forward in the next webinars and the next continuous training meetings. I hope that we can go forward and wait for my instructions on the WhatsApp group. I think you have to also to think about the next assignment. I sent to you tonight what we had in the last webinar with Vital Hennen. Then everybody can choose one of the subjects and start to build one organization, one presentation for the next training meeting. Okay, thank you very much, and see you later very soon next Friday. The topic will be side out. And this is very important because, by the way, Pulbituk always asking about reception, and a special part from the next webinar will be for reception. Okay, thank you very much, and see you later, and goodbye. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, see you then.